What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I got some new news for you concerning Jarrell, Big Baby Miller, and Anthony Joshua. The reason why is because Anthony Joshua and Prevectin are getting it on, and I'm going to come to you guys with a video on that fight study soon, so stay tuned for that. But this was actually about the confrontation in New York because, Eddie Hearn has introduced his own app, and the Prevectin and Joshua fight will be the premier fight on that will introduce this app. I believe that app will be, or I believe apps like that will be the wave of the future because people, look at the cell phones more than really television media, right? Than actual television. So it's a smart move, even though I didn't care for it at the ESPN Plus app, but I do see the benefits of it. I just feel that if the Zone had a channel on their own, I think you could also air it on that channel. Like, what's wrong with having an extra outlet, in case you were in an area that was rural, so you wouldn't have to worry about not seeing the fight if you didn't have internet access, because that's what it comes down to if you didn't have Wi-Fi, right? So that was my only quirk about it, but it does look like a good thing. But anyway, the whole buzz is Jarrell Big Baby Miller came and confronted. He was sidelining, saying that should have been me. I should be fighting instead of Prevectin. You know what I mean? And I needed that shot. And, I have to agree with Jarrell Big Baby Miller. I mean, he's a guy that has been that is undefeated. I think he's 22-0. He just had a tough fight, a nice fight. It was a good fight with Dunapas from France, and it went 12 rounds. So that showed that he could go 12 rounds. And I've seen videos where he came to Eddie Hearn like, "Hey, when I'm going to get my title shot?" You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and it looks like that's gonna be the case, and it just shows he's hungry, and it's good for propaganda. It's good for him. It's good for exposure because a lot of people don't know, outside the boxing circles, don't know who Jarrell Big Baby Miller is. He's a New York native. He's undefeated. He's hungry for a title shot, and he wants Anthony Joshua's shot. A lot of people want Anthony Joshua, or they claim to, and for him doing stuff like that, he's taking the initiative like a lot of fighters have and calling out the fighters they want to call out personally, you know what I mean, face to face, because he got up in Joshua's face. And one thing I noticed about Joshua didn't back down either. So, he didn't like ignore it, like do that political, oh, I hear somebody talking, but that's not worth me responding. No, he responds and they had words. I really couldn't hear what Joshua said because he wasn't as outward as Jarrell Big Baby Miller, you know what I mean? But, you could tell they were having words, and it was, a back and forth going on with these guys. But Anthony Joshua, I've noticed that he will get in your face, and then he has his own ego and reputation to uphold, and I think he has a mean streak of his own. Before he was a boxer and stuff like that, he was out there, doing some pretty bad stuff, you know what I mean, like criminal wise. So he got some street in him, you know what I mean? So, the New Yorker, Miller, Big Baby, he came out and addressed it and said what he felt, and honestly, that's what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at Lara. Look how Islandi Lara got the Canelo fight. That's the biggest fight in his career, right? He ain't been in a bigger fight since Canelo. But it's Canelo though. But he got that Canelo fight when he walked on stage and was vocal about fighting that particular person. You know what I mean? It didn't go like the Miller, Joshua, they wouldn't all in each other's face, but you know what I mean? It was more casual, but at the same time, it pissed Canelo off. It pissed him off enough to take the fight with Lara. So, Wilder, he hasn't showed anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, I've noticed that. So the reason I bring up Wilder is because if you want to fight, you want to show the initiative that you have the fight. And then Miller's taking that initiative that he wants it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people say, oh, I don't want it, or he doesn't want it, or all that back and forth for the last 3 months. But Miller is this guy. He's this sleeping giant that's like, hey, you guys are talking about Parker, Tyson, Dillian White, Wilder. This is me, Big Baby Miller, and it's time for me to shine. Let me show you who I am. So let me make some noise. And he made some noise to represent, like, hey, first of all, it's me. I'm Jarrell Big Baby Miller. I'm ready for a title shot. His boss has promised me I can get a title shot. You know what I mean? Eddie Hearn, he said, hey, get some fights under your belt. So, you know what I mean? That's what he pretty much said in the interview that I saw. But I'll leave the source below so you guys can check it out and see what the deal is. What else? Anthony Joshua did break silence on Deontay Wilder, that he signed his part of the contract, and that's also, I'll put that in a link below, that he's waiting for Wilder to sign if that fight's going to happen. So that's it. There's no more to talk about that particular issue. But there is a new guy that is trying to make noise, that is making noise, that he wants to be known, and his name is Jarrell Big Baby Miller. You know what I mean? So it's one of them things, man, I look forward to, because I'm always interested in the next guy that's hungry, for the title, and that's what it's about, So if that fight doesn't happen with Wilder, it's always somebody to replace you. You know what I mean? So I just want to add that in there. It was something else I wanted to bring up about this whole ordeal. Prevectin actually was being overshadowed by all of this, because this was the face-off, you know what I mean? Not only the introduction to the D-Zone, but this was a face-off to Prevectin and Joshua, So, when that happened, it was like Jarrell Big Baby Miller, he stole that steam, he stole that limelight from Prevectin. So, it just makes that just another fight, and Parker and White, those guys are really paying close attention on who wins this fight. Because whoever wins the fight, if that fight does happen with Wilder and Joshua, they're right there in line to get that chance, So whoever wins out of that, so everything is close knit, And Jarrell Big Baby Miller, once again, I'm glad he's doing what he's doing. This is creating a lot of buzz, a lot of exposure, like I said before. So I hope he gets what he's asking for. You know what I mean? Because there's too many guys, there's too many good fighters, regardless of weight class, that are good and don't get a shot. And they don't get a shot because they're not in the limelight enough. They don't take the initiative. They're not outspoken. They don't have a verbal power or verbal force behind them. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times those fights don't get made because of that. They're real passive. You got to be aggressive, especially when, in the heavyweight division, everyone's big. One punch can solve everything, everyone's problems. So, but you got to get in that ring first to throw that punch. And, in order to throw that punch, you got to make the fight happen by signing some contracts. So you have to put yourself in position to do that. And I think that, again, is a good choice. So don't be surprised that you'll see a Joshua Miller fight. You know what I'm saying? So in the near future or eventually, right? So, but anyway, you guys tell me what you think about the confrontation, the D-Zone, the introduction and all that. Of course, please subscribe. I'll send the links below. And you guys been counterpunched. Peace.